Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Ocarina of Fire here. So, haven't been able to post in about a week. Been an internship, got school going back, so it's been a hectic couple weeks. So now I got an established schedule going, I'll be able to post more regularly. So, I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 3D World. It's going to go into a little bit of a story about Nintendo as a whole, and how it's affected me personally, going back to my childhood growing up, and how I still have an appreciation for the Wii U and for Nintendo games now that a lot of casual gamers now don't have, and why as a whole that's hurting the Wii U sales. That it's not necessarily what Nintendo's not doing, it's what they hadn't done in the early 2000s that is now coming back to bite them in the butt. So, real quick, Super Mario 3D World, big, rich, extravagant world. It's a blast to play, colorful, fun, these big worlds. Each course, you can really tell that each individual course had a lot going into it. If you run through the levels, you're not going to have the appreciation for it, but if you take the time to get the stars, get the stamps, and really explore each and every course, you'll really see the great work that Nintendo and Miyamoto really put into this game. But I digress. On to my story. So, little 7-year-old Dylan, new to video games and everything, one Christmas opens up from Santa Claus a Nintendo 64, and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. When you're young, especially my older cousins, even my parents, associated Nintendo with video games. PlayStation was really first starting out at the time. PlayStation really hadn't gotten that household name quite yet. So when you get a Nintendo, you got the video games. And, growing up on Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart, Mario 64, all these games that, the slower puzzle games, you had to go around and explore, and it wasn't just run through, shoot 'em up, and go like some of the games are now. And then, you grow up with that, you get an appreciation for it. And then as times move on, you had the PlayStation and the Xbox, and pretty soon, because the GameCube wasn't as big as a success as the N64 and even the PS2, because the PS2 is by far the most successful system ever, so PlayStation became associated with video games more than as Nintendo. And then the Xbox even pushing the bar even further with their big black box of Doom. The original Xbox, just a powerful game machine. Even though it wasn't utilized to its full potential, that was a very powerful machine. And it really just changed the way that games were, because so much more now could be done with these systems. GameCube had great games like the Wind Waker was fantastic. The Mario games. There's so many great games for the GameCube, but it wasn't as big as the N64, like I said, and really didn't have that big audience. So when people like me grew up, we're now in college, even starting families that are older than me, aren't playing video games anymore. They're not buying the Wii U, and that's part of why the Wii U sales aren't as good. The kids probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years younger than me, age like 12 to 17, just grew up on PlayStation, just grew up on Xbox, playing Call of Duty, playing Halo, playing Killzone, all these games where it's just fast-paced, mindless, run-and-gun, shoot-'em-up games where you don't have that appreciation. You didn't play the Ocarina of Time exploring each and every quest. You never played the Super Mario 64 where you had to explore and jump through each world, different platforms. You never had an appreciation for this type of game. So when the Wii U comes out with Super Mario 3D World, that critics and all that love this game because it's the game of the year, and then the consumer doesn't, you can tell there's a disconnect, because the people in the game media now are my age, a little bit older than me, have a great appreciation for Mario and Nintendo and where this all was. But the kids, 12 through 15, don't have that appreciation because it's not fast-paced, it's not full of action, there's no explosions, Mario's head isn't getting shot off, castles aren't blowing up, and kids really don't have that appreciation for that anymore. So, you ask, why is the Wii U not selling well? Because they never got it quite going with the GameCube. Even though the Wii sold a ton, it hadn't had the much hardcore gaming install base like it needed to. Nintendo tried doing things innovative to try to perfect their games, and people my age loved it. We get to play with Zelda, the Skyward Sword, and you got to play all these new games, but the younger generation never got into it. Like, I'll just play on my Xbox 360, I'll play on my Halo, I'll play on my Call of Duty 4, I get to play online and run around and shoot 'em up. And when you get to this Wii U, where there's little online support, where there's Nintendo isn't really promoting shoot-'em-up fast games, and they're not getting the third-party support, they're not going to play those games because they're used to playing the mind-rotting, just run-around, shoot-everyone games, and don't have the time to appreciate the slow games. You actually have to put your mind into the game and say, okay, I have to do this, 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 and this. Not saying everyone, but that's kind of the problem. You look at the best-selling games right now. It's Battlefield, It's Call of Duty. It's going to be Titanfall in a couple months. It's Gears of War. It's Halo. All these shooter games. Killzone. All these shooter games that don't really take much out of the mind. So people my age who have that emotional attachment to the games we have growing up isn't there anymore, because these kids are just playing these games for senseless, mindless, brain-rotting entertainment instead of actually taking the time to solve puzzles. So I think, it's nothing really that the Wii U is doing wrong. It's just third parties aren't supporting them because they're not the mega power rigs like the Xbox and the PS4, but quite frankly, they don't need to be. They need to keep doing what they're doing, put out great games like they have, like Pikmin, Wind Waker HD, all these games. If they can just keep putting out their games and just hoping that people are going to buy them, people are going to be hooked. They're kind of almost setting it up as a younger generation now. Now that the kids are playing this game, they're going to grow up on these Nintendo games like I have, and then their next systems are going to take off. Whereas, the people playing the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 in 5 years are going to be grown up, and they're not going to be playing the next Xbox. So basically what Nintendo's doing is instead of going after the kids 17 through 20, they're going after the kids 5 through 11, how I was when I was 5, playing these games growing up. So then when the next generation for Nintendo comes out, they're going to be back in the forefront. So it's a little perspective that I really think people are missing, and it really takes a little bit to think about, but Nintendo's going to be in great shape. Sure, the Wii U isn't going to be the best-selling system, but it's doing good enough. I mean, they're losing a ton of money, but it's going to come back. They got great games coming, and the people who have the Wii U love the Wii U. Why? Because they have great games, and that's all it really comes down to. So that's all I really got today. Went on about 7 minutes of a little bit of rant. So, hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments if you had the same situations like me growing up. So, that's all I got. Nintendo, keep doing what you're doing, because you know what? You got enough money in the bank. Roll with it to the end, baby. That's all I got for today. Ocarina of Fire checking out. Have a good one.